Hello, welcome to the Hard Carry. I'm your host Adam Fitch. Today, as always with this series, I'm going to break down the biggest industry happenings in esports for the past week and kind of tell you why they matter. So, January has been an incredibly busy month for such announcements and partnerships to be made. Investments, acquisitions, all sorts has been going on. In terms of quantity, it definitely didn't slow down in the last week of the month, though some may argue that the quality of stories has taken a decline, but that's only because the first 3-4 weeks of the month were absolutely insane. So first off, I want to start with the London-based organisation Fnatic. Everyone's heard of them, been going over 15 years now, and they announced quite a few different things throughout the week. So first off is obviously they've unveiled their new logo. So keeping in line with how it's been over the past 15 years, they've just kind of made things, the way they describe it is simplified, cleaner and sharper. So they kind of rounded off a lot of the edges that were there before. I can't say really if it's better or not. It's entirely subjective, of course, but they have indeed changed it, and it's the third iteration of the visual identity for the organisation in 15 years or so. And the change has been made in an effort, according to a press release, to align it visually with their new aesthetic as a brand. So, and that they say it's more adaptable and translates well from apparel to digital, hardware to in-game. So, I mean, realistically, not a shit ton has changed. They've changed the colour a little bit from like the orange we know to like a more vibrant orange it appears. But I mean, like, obviously that's a big change for the organisation. What it means for the wider industry, probably not too much, but it's just the latest in a long line of rebrands we've seen in the past year with the likes of Evil Geniuses and Energy and such, changing up how they look at Dignitas appears to be changing its name to Dig. I don't know if we'll see something change in their logo as well as that. But it's just a lot of organisations and companies seem to be doing this recently, and the reasons are they just think the brands need refreshing. So that was the first thing that Fnatic announced, and then it also partnered with PC Specialist, another UK-based company, to create its own branded computer. So the deal includes the creation of the official Fnatic gaming PC for consumers to buy across Europe. Obviously, having a presence in the likes of Curry's PC World, I'm pretty sure, and other hardware stores and technology stores, I guess. It's not explicitly clear where these are going to live, or if it'll be mainly online, sprinkling of presence in stores around Europe, I guess. But obviously having a presence in these stores and having more hardware to buy. Obviously, they've got the Fnatic Gear line. It's almost surprising to see them actually branch out from Fnatic Gear to give it to a third party almost, just with their name slapped on it. So, yeah, PC Specialist, Fnatic partnered, got their own PC now. And then the last thing they announced, Fnatic that is, in the week was partnering with Esports Charts. So it's an analytical agency. Most people go to it for events statistics, so the viewership and where the demographics of those viewers and such and so forth. Just every kind of game seems to be covered for the most part, especially the major events. And Fnatic's in a shit ton of games, obviously. It's just expanded into India with PUBG Mobile as well. So what it will get out of the deal is it'll be provided with insights into viewership analytics, both for its own teams and for its competitors. So it's hard to say exactly what they'll do with this, especially when it comes to the fact that it's third-party events. They're not hosting their own events and competing in those. So what they can do with the information, I guess, is make more strategic decisions in terms of, we should probably have a team here, or we shouldn't have a team in this game because the viewership isn't quite there. So for like PUBG, for example, there was a lot of promise there at the beginning of 2019 or the end of 2018, I guess, with the whole regional league things going on, and then that bombed. So being able to see that kind of information and get deeper insights into that, perhaps as to how a game is performing and is being received by esports and gaming fans, it will help with such decisions. So it's just the latest in the line of partners that Esports Charts has kind of brought on board in the past few months, joining the likes of Team Liquid and TSM and tournament organiser StarLadder as well. So Fnatic obviously making quite a few moves in the last week. They hired an India lead, so somebody to lead their Indian efforts early this month, and I think they've announced a couple of renewals and partnerships as well. So a big month for for Fnatic, and we'll see how that takes them further into 2020, I guess. So next up, Astralis, the Danish CSGO team owned by Astralis Group, which also owns the LEC team Origin and the FIFA brand Future FC, has partnered with Royal Unibrew. So it's a Danish brewery, and they're going to develop their own branded line of soft drinks with one of Royal Unibrew's brands, which is Cult. Now, Cult previously sponsored Heroic, who people should know had ties to Refresh Entertainment before Astralis Group and Blast Pro Series kind of broke apart and Refresh no longer existed. Rules came into play where multiple ownership wasn't allowed in CS:GO. So yeah, you can kind of see where the relationship happened there. Obviously, having your own soft drink line is a bit crazy, but this is specifically aimed at the Nordic market. And it includes both a commercial sponsorship and royalties. So every unit that's sold of an Astralis drink, I guess, they get a proportionate fee from that. And also there'll be some sponsorship elements to the whole deal as well, which we're not very much aware of yet. It could be like a jersey sponsorship. It could be creating co-branded content and such and so forth. Details are scarce on this at the moment, but we'll see how that goes. It's a big deal nonetheless, especially for, I guess, fans in Denmark, and it seems like a clever move because Astralis is almost the national team and the national esports brand of Denmark at this point. So a big move there. And as I said before, Refresh Entertainment used to own Astralis and Blast, and now what Blast has done is create a Blast Premier, however you want to say it, as like a rebranded version of Blast Pro Series, now utilising a better format and bringing in partners as well. So as well as Betway, the bookmaker, CS Money has committed for 2020 as well, having already partnered with Blast for 2019. And CS Money is the angle I want to take here because the company there has also partnered with Astralis recently. It's also partnered with analyst and journalist Thorin and journalist and budding content creator DK as well. So you can see CS Money is going all out in an effort to attract different corners of the CSGO fan base, I guess, and it's just one to keep an eye on really as to how they'll integrate in Blast Premier in that circuit throughout the year. Really, it's just one to keep an eye on, and I imagine the partnerships aren't kind of done yet, and the fact that it's a skin trading platform as well could be controversial, but it seems to be doing things properly, and that's certainly the angle that Thorin's been taking while promoting it, and Astralis is seen as like the golden children of CSGO, so you wouldn't think that they'd partner with a company unless everything seemed ethical and right. So moving on to Allied Esports, so that's the esports entertainment company behind the likes of the Las Vegas, or the Esports Arena Las Vegas, which the naming rights is owned by HyperX, and then it has its own property network with affiliates, so it'll soon enough seemingly be global in terms of owning or operating venues, esports venues across the world. But what it's doing is it's making a big play for esports venues within retail spaces and malls. So it partnered with Simon Property Group, which is a large mall operator, last year, as well as receiving investment from them. And then recently, Allied Esports announced that it was going to receive a $5 million investment from Brookfield Property Partners as well to help with its push into malls and to get these venues going. So what it's done is Allied Esports has chosen architecture and engineering firm HOK, or HOK, to design its retail esports venues. So this is a big step in the right direction for them. Jury's out as to whether it'll actually be successful and whether it's just too soon in esports life cycle and lifespan for these venues to be cropping up all across America. Obviously it's growing, but they're kind of counting on esports to be a big phenomenon by the time that they've got everything fully functional. And an interesting thing that was announced in the week was that the first retail space that was announced was the Mall of Georgia, and now Allied Esports and HOK, or HOK, are working together right now, immediately from this partnership announcement, to develop that venue with a view of opening it in the second half of 2020. So we won't have to wait too long to see how that goes, how it turns out. Interestingly, GameStop are seemingly pivoting to something quite similar as well now, so there might be a bit of competition there. We'll have to see how that unfolds, but that's certainly one to keep an eye on. So Allied Esports, keep an eye on, especially if you're interested in the North American esports scene. So Dojo Madness is now a holding company for the likes of Shadow and Bayes Esports Solutions, which is a joint venture with Sport Radar. It's a data firm, is rebranded to Bayes Holding, kind of signalling the fact that it's placing its faith more within the Bayes Esports Solutions side of things. And what it's done is, with this rebrand, it's accompanying its new business-to-business focus. It's only going to work with corporate customers from now on. And what's interesting with this is Dojo Madness closed down Zach, which was another one of its business units last year. And this just kind of signals that that was a failure, basically. Like the working B2C isn't cutting it for them. They're not making the money there, and they've had some success with B2B, so they're doubling down on that. And the rebrand isn't really all that important, but it's what it signifies is perhaps something to keep an eye on, especially as the B2B data space in esports gets bigger, So that's one to keep an eye on as well. Bayes Holding now. Bayes Holding. And the final story of the week, as I say, perhaps not the best in terms of quality, but the quantity was right up there. This one's quite a good one, though. So North American organisation Pittsburgh Knights has partnered with Coca-Cola, who's also involved with a couple of esports leagues already, to launch its new drink, which is called Coke Energy. And now this new drink is an effort to appeal to the esports audience, and you can kind of see that in the quote that was given in a press release. So let's see if I can find that quickly. James O'Connor, the president of Pittsburgh Knights, said the very first thing he said in his quote was, "We know how much the esports community loves their energy drinks, so we're thrilled to share Coke Energy with our fans." So what we can see here is the Coca-Cola company using esports to push a new product and seemingly creating this product specifically for gaming and esports fans. So while there is a dialogue going on at the moment as to whether energy drinks are actually worthwhile drinking, like the sponsorships and partnerships we've seen with energy drink brands and organisations hasn't slowed down. Red Bull's still big in the game, and Rockstar partnered with Mouse Sports recently. Monster Energy involved with organisations as well. Like, I don't think they're going anywhere, though. As time goes on and dialogue develops, and more studies are put in, I guess, and the more that health is considered when it comes to esports and when training and competing alike, we may see a shift away from esports energy drinks, I guess. But at the moment, Coke Energy is Coca-Cola's attempt at making it a thing. So what the partnership is revolving around Pittsburgh Knights Rocket League team, and our Rocket League obviously isn't the biggest title in the landscape in the infrastructure of esports, nor is that team particularly the most popular of all of the ones competing in Rocket League. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But the real point to take away here is Coca-Cola is entirely focusing on getting these esports fans with its new drink, Coke Energy. So whether it can compete with some of the other brands I mentioned not too long ago, the jury's out on that as well. But it's something to watch. So I think what we can take away from this week is there's plenty of things to watch to see how it develops throughout the year. People are positioning themselves now to have a big year. So I expect things to carry on in terms of plenty of announcements, plenty of deals being made and such. Hopefully plenty of exclusive pieces coming out as well to keep businesses accountable, especially when they're not operating as they should. I'm sure we'll see more of that as well. It'll be interesting to keep an eye on the Call of Duty League as that develops. Obviously, it's just had its first event in Minnesota, at the Armory in Minneapolis, and Overwatch League's about to probably 75% actually deliver on its promise of home and away matches, travelling. So plenty to keep an eye on, as well as all the CSGO League drama that's going on now with B-Site and with ESL, and Blast Premier's looking great. I think that's a bit of a dark horse league and dark horse entity within this whole battle that's going on in CSGO at the moment. So plenty to keep your eyes out for. Obviously, go to Esports Insider to catch up with things day to day or hour to hour, however you want to consume content. But if you just need to know the biggest chunks of what's happened throughout a week and to kind of understand why they matter, if you can't be asked to use your brain or you just don't understand it fully, whatever it may be, then check out the Hard Carry every Saturday. It's on YouTube and all the major podcast and audio platforms. So thank you very much for tuning in, and I will see you next Saturday. Cheers.